Hi.
Welcome back to us. So, we, a while back, did a video saying the X number of things that we love about Korea. So, now we're going to do a list of things that we don't like as much about Korea.
Nay.
Nay. All right.
That means yes in Korean for those of you who didn't know.
Yeah. So, first thing up, parking and driving in Korea. So,
it's an adventure.
Driving in Korea is about 90% the same as driving in the States, as long as you live near a fairly big city.
No.
I've lived near DC. The traffic's somewhat similar.
The streets are smaller here.
Yes. The streets are smaller.
So I don't see it's 90% the same if the streets are a little smaller.
Well, I'm talking about like the road rules.
Oh, road rules. Yeah, road rules. Okay, sorry.
Are about 90% the same.
I will agree with that.
Now, the driving, I will admit, if you've lived in / been in a larger city, say New York or DC or something of that sort, is a little more familiar. But if you've just driven in, you know, South Carolina, Arizona, most parts of Virginia, not really the same. Because in Korea, most road rules are more like suggestions. So they'll drive around people, they'll drive up on the sidewalk to get around somebody. You know, old ladies.
Let's not even discuss the moped situation where they just have no rules.
Yeah, the mopeds seem to have no rules whatsoever.
In a situation, if you've got a question, let the moped win, because otherwise you're going to hit them.
Yeah. See what other old people in the street with a big cart of cardboard.
Oh yeah, we had 2 the other day. That was fun.
Yeah, back to back.
2 Ajumas like pulling their truck. It was awesome. Yeah.
So that's bad enough. But you can get used to it. You just kind of gotta learn it's a very aggressive style of driving.
Nay.
It's more like I'm in a hurry, get out of my way.
Everyone is in a hurry, get out of their way.
Most of Korea.
Nah.
But what really kind of gets you is the parking.
Oh.
Because a lot of people have cars now, but as we mentioned, the roads are very narrow, and there's not a lot of parking built into, like, housing areas. You're lucky if places are planned with 1 parking spot per unit, you know.
Oh, and they're planned for parking, like, literally just the car. Like, they don't care if you can get in or out. Like, once the car is parked, if you can't get out, that's not their problem, that's your problem.
Yeah, a Korean parking spot is designed to be wide enough for
the vehicle.
Like a city car. If you've ever seen well, you might not have seen a Daewoo Matiz, but if you've seen something like one of the little smart cars or like a Renault Twizy or something like that, those will fit into a parking spot and you can open the doors. If you drive what most Americans would consider a normal size car, 4-door sedan, SUV, you know, Hyundai Santa Fe, Kia Sorento, that sort of size, you can fit the car in the spot. You may not be able to open the doors wide enough to get out if there's one parked next to you. Anyway,
parking, driving. Number 2, personal space. There is no real personal space in Korea.
Or personal space is not considered in Korea the same way as it is in the States.
I wonder though, because see, what I learned from my culture class is Koreans don't really say my a lot. Everything is our. So if it's my mother, it's our mother. If it's my sister, it's our sister. A lot of things are considered I. So they don't really have, a couple of my professors have told me, they don't really have a word that they really use for my. So maybe that's why there's no personal space, because that would probably be included in the my portion.
Well, the other thing is when you're in Korea, and I noticed this more like the first time I came over to visit, like, was it 10, not a little more than that, 15 years ago? Damn, I'm getting old.
It's been a while.
Anyway, in Korea, South Korea is a very mountainous country. So there's like regions of mountains, and then there's little flat spots. So they build the cities there. So because you can't really live on a mountain unless you're like a monk or something, there's a whole lot of people packed into a city. So cities will abruptly end. If you get on like the train, You know, you'll be driving along the tracks and city, 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 field. It just ends.
This is true.
So, since all the people pack into these little areas for the cities, I'm sure you've seen, it's relatively famous in Tokyo, during rush hour, the trains, they'll actually have people whose job is to pack people into the train so the doors can close. It's not quite that bad in Seoul, but you'll definitely be very friendly with the person standing next to you during rush hour.
It has been sardinish before riding the subway. I won't lie. One thing that was really weird, like talking personal space. So before he came here, Chuck was very open with me about what I would expect since he'd been here before. And he was like, so you're strawberry blonde. That's not a color they see very often in Korea.
Yeah, blondes, strawberry blondes, redheads. They don't see that very often.
So he says to me one day...
Especially when you get outside of the big cities.
He says to me one day, he says, someone's going to pet you one day, and you're going to have to let it happen. And I was like, are you kidding me? And he's like, no, don't cause an incident. Just let it happen. And I'm like, why are they petting me? I'm not a dog. And he's like, because they don't know your hair. I'm like, well, their hair is different from mine, but I'm not going to pet them. I kid you not. One day I was with a friend. We were going to Seoul, and I forget where we were on the train, but I'm sitting there, and next thing I know, Ajima sits next to me, and I'm like, and my friend's like, oh my God, is she petting you? And I'm like, shut up. It was very awkward, but I just let it happen. And then later I felt really disgusting. So yes, that could happen if you are blonde or redheaded. It's
more than likely it's going to be somebody who has not lived in a bigger city because there's a lot more foreigners in the big cities. But Koreans, like Japan somewhat, are very homogenous people. They're all relatively about the same height. They all have relatively about the same complexion and the same hair and eye color. So people with pale skin and red hair...
and blue eyes. I'm an anomaly for them.
...are very different. And I don't know, maybe they just think, wow, that looks different. I wonder if it feels any different.
I mean, literally, I might think their hair looks different, but I'm not going to go, ooh, that looks different. Let me do this to you.
But,
I don't know. Weird. But they also do stuff like when you go to a restaurant with them, they will chew with their mouth open sometimes. And that can be a little weird. Now, not everybody does it, but I've been with enough Koreans at this point that I've seen it happen. And I'm just like, why would chew with your, close your mouth, put your hand there, something.
Part of it is that Koreans are very social people. One person doesn't really go out to have a meal. One person,
oh, no, that's no.
One person will go out and eat. They'll run by McDonald's or whatever and grab some food and go home or whatever. But if they go out and have a meal, you must have friends. You must have people.
They look down on you. I've actually eaten when Chuck has, like, when I wasn't working and he was, and he had maybe had to grab a quick lunch. I've eaten by myself at a restaurant once, and they just kind of look at you like, do you have no friends? You have no life? Why didn't you take that to go? Because now I feel bad for you.
But and it's a very big thing, especially when you work with Koreans, is that they'll have like office lunches. But whereas an American, you think they have an office lunch maybe once a quarter, semi-annually, that sort of thing. Koreans will do it like every other week. And it's not let's go out and grab a burger. No, they go out to a restaurant, they order meat, and they barbecue it at the table. They're drinking beer and soju, they're drinking. And it is actually considered impolite to not drink with them and not eat with them. But since it's such a social thing, you don't just sit there and feed your face. You have to talk to people. So a lot of Koreans will sit there and they'll take a bite of something and they'll talk. And they'll take a bite and they'll talk. And they're still chewing while they're talking. And I had to yell at my ex-sister-in-law once. She came over to visit us in the States. And we're sitting there eating dinner and she's talking to her sister. And it got to the point where like my eyeball was twitching and my ear was curling up. Stop it!
She doesn't do it anymore. I haven't noticed her do it anymore. I will be honest. When we've eaten with them, I have not noticed it.
I will admit she pretty much immediately stopped doing that. She realized that it really irritated me when she did that.
One thing I do find interesting, and you'll see this a lot, if you go into the public restrooms around mealtime, and also sometimes, oddly enough, apparently some people do it at their desk. I found that out the other day from a friend who said that someone was too busy brushing their teeth at their desk. But they brush their teeth in public. One of my friends here got so annoyed. She's like, why can't I go to the bathroom and not have people brushing their teeth? I'm like, look, they got dental hygiene. I can't really hate on that. Good for them.
Koreans will brush their teeth
Good.
3 or more times a day.
Yeah, it's better than what the rest of us probably do.
I see it at work too. If you go to the bathroom like right after lunchtime, there'll be a line of people all in there with a little plastic cup or a coffee mug full of water brushing their teeth. And
one of them gave me grief once because I didn't refresh my makeup at lunchtime. She's like, oh, you've got to redo your makeup. I'm like, my makeup's still on. Why do I have to redo it? Because it's not fresh anymore. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm going home at 5.
Yeah, there's Korean standards of doing things is something you have to get used to.
True.
Anyway, so next on our list of stuff. By the way, this is not in any particular order of ascending or descending. It's just in the order we thought of it. So next up on our list is building standards. So in America, if you see somebody building a building, around here a lot, you see it's apartment buildings. But if you see somebody building an apartment building, say like the ones they're building right down the street there, it's a smaller one. It's 4, maybe 6 floors.
Maybe 2 or 3 apartments.
2 or 3 apartments per floor. You think in America that's going to take
at least a year.
At least a year for that to get thrown up, because you got to get, diagrams approved. You got to get a foundation laid. Then they got to
lay everything perfectly.
They got to do everything up. It's got to be inspected. Then they got to pour concrete. Then that's got to be inspected.
Wait, but this one, what's 3 months? 4?
3-4 months. They've gone from a bare lot.
They got parking spaces already.
And
building.
4 or 5 of those buildings down there.
Yeah.
They've already been built. The concrete's been poured.
They're glassed
The rebar's been done. The exterior's been done up. They got like a marble facade thing that they put on.
Dude, they've already drawn
here.
the lines in the parking spaces.
They've got the glass in.
All they got to do is rent.
Spaces. Yeah, 3-4 months. They've built like 5 apartment buildings.
But on that, let's talk about, before we moved here, Chuck said, I need you to understand that Korea is the land of...
the land of good enough.
So,
or almost right, as one of my other workers.
One of the apartments we were in, I could literally look at the ceiling and see pencil marks where things should have been, but didn't quite make it where they were supposed to go. Quite.
Or you look in the thing and like the trim in the bathroom will have like a 1/4-inch gap, and they're just like, meh, good enough.
Or if you're walking in one of the little areas and the sidewalk just kind of sort of doesn't meet each other and you almost break your neck. It was good enough. Just remember that. It was good enough.
Yes, sidewalks, especially the older sidewalks like you see in the inner city / Seoul / Daejeon / Busan, most of the cities I've been in. The one that looks like an interlocking brick pattern, I have not seen one of those in Korea that was level.
No.
They all have anywhere from 1/4-inch to 1/2-inch gaps to stones are completely missing.
Oh, but let's talk about my favorite part of apartment living. My favorite part, that there is no amount of preparation that can prepare you for this. And you should know this before you move to Korea. If you live in an apartment, there's going to be smells coming from the drains.
It's not just apartments. It's pretty much all
our house
residences.
Look, we're in a townhouse now and it does not have nearly as bad. But apartments, they were bad. Like literally, there was one day that I thought I was having a stroke or a heart attack or something, whichever one you smell weird stuff on, that's what I was having. Because I'm like, Chuck, do you smell garlic? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I smell garlic. And he's like, yeah, our neighbor was cooking garlic. It came through the drainage system.
So,
which is better, of course, than the first apartment when we were sitting there one day and I was like, oh my God, what did you do? Like, dude, spray. There's Febreze in there. And he hadn't been in the bathroom since we got home. And I'm pretty sure he didn't do it that morning. And he's like, oh, that's not me. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a phantom pooper in our house.
So what that is
nasty.
That in Korea, the way they build stuff with the plumbing and the vents, especially in apartment buildings, is there's a lot of communal piping. So like the air vents for the bathroom, the little fan that pulls the air out and is supposed to vent it out. Well, those vents all kind of join up at various places in the piping. So it is very possible for if your apartment, your apartment next door is cooking garlic rice or something.
Like he was always making steak or hamburger or something. We'd always smell that.
Yeah, it's very possible for the smell to drift through the piping and be coming out of your bathroom.
And then you're going,
you're not having
like
a stroke when you walk into the bathroom and you smell beef. What the hell? The other drawback to that, though, is those are not the only communal pipes.
No.
The drains that go into the sewage system, specifically, not just the ones for the toilet, because the toilet has water in it and that creates a natural blockage.
Yeah, sometimes those bubble up. It's kind of
Sometimes they do
scary.
bubble up if the pressure builds up
You
enough.
hear your toilet go blub, blub, and you're like, what the hell just happened here?
But most bathrooms, the entire bathroom, it's a wet room. The entire bathroom is tiled and there's just a drain in the middle of the floor. So your shower is just like a spigot coming out of the wall and you take a shower just standing there.
Yeah. Now, some of them do the glass enclosures.
Some of them do the glass dividers and whatnot.
But they don't consider it a necessity. That's a nicety.
You're not in a tub. It's like a gym shower. It goes on the floor and it drains into the drain.
Which makes for easier cleanup.
It does make for cleanup. But the problem with that is all of those drains all go into the same sewage line and then goes into the sewage. So when sewage gas, creates pressure or back feeds up the line, if you're on the lowest floors, the bottom 2, maybe 3 floors of an apartment building, you may just smell sewer gas in your bathroom in the morning.
Or all day long.
Or all day long.
The last place we were in, I'm pretty sure it was all flippin' day long.
Now, at least our house, our housing development is built kind of on a hill going this way. So we're like 3 buildings up from the lowest end. Because I've heard the guys at the bottom there, they get to smell a lot more often.
Yay for the guys at the bottom and not us.
So if you have to rent an apartment,
go up.
Or a house or anything, don't be at the bottom.
No.
They're going to get the smells.
We did the bottom of the chain and that was vomitous.
Yeah, our last apartment was literally on the first floor.
It was so bad. No.
Yeah, it was rough in there. All right, next up.
Air quality.
So we've done a video on air quality
Yeah,
here.
check out the video on that.
But
It's
short
rough.
version is air quality index.
Is important.
Most commonly where we're from, southeastern Virginia, the Carolinas, you're usually somewhere in the air quality range of 20 to 40, which is considered green. Even during pollen season, it only gets up to maybe 50 or 60. 50 or 60 is a good day here. It can oftentimes jump up into the 80s or 90s, which is still not considered bad, even though that's considered yellow. It will very often spike up into the red range, which is 100 to 150. Above that is purple.
We've seen purple.
You don't see much in purple because it looks like you're in a cloud.
Yeah, but we've seen it on the apps. We know it's purple.
Yeah, our air quality app. So if you're in Korea, invest in they're free, but download an air quality app.
And get air purifiers. They do help.
Yeah.
But make sure you get one that gets the particulates out because they sell a lot of them in different places that don't actually get the right level that you need to get. So be choosy. Don't buy the cheap one.
Yeah, so you need the one that does the PM10 and the PM2.5. But that stuff will get in your lungs. It will cause something colloquially around here known as the crud, which is basically like a bad one-day case of the flu. So, trash.
Oh.
So
Tell us about trash, Chuck.
Koreans do recycling, and they're relatively not insistent, but they prefer you do the recycling, but they're not as militant about it as Japan is. Simon and Martina have a great video on how the recycling in Japan works and all the rules.
There's a lot of rules
involved in that one. So Korea is not as bad, but you got you're supposed to do your plastics, your glass,
your paper
/ cardboard, your metal, and then you have regular trash.
Oh, you forgot the food trash.
Wet food trash.
Well, actually, there's and there's rules about the food trash too. Like there's certain things like eggshells or something that's not supposed to go in there. I can't remember if coffee grounds go in or not.
I don't think so.
Honestly, I'm so confused about the food trash that I'm just like, huh?
And then you've got regular catch-all trash.
Yeah.
So bottles, cans, plastics, papers, you take them out there, you put them in, because they've got a can with like a big net, you just put it in it.
And you've got the people who live near us who don't understand that bottles means glass and keep putting their plastic in the bottles.
Yeah, I keep thinking I need to put up better signs than are out there, because that's annoying.
Yeah.
But those don't have particular bags. They just go in the net for the appropriate kind of recycling. You have two kinds of bags that you have to keep track of. One is the wet food waste, which is like a little orangey brown bag, and your noodles, your leftover meats,
Whatevs food.
Basically wet editable food, I think, is what goes in that bag. Everything else goes in the regular trash. And the regular trash is...
For us, it's a white bag.
Yeah, it's a white bag. It's different depending on what city...
Or dong.
And what section of the city or dong that you live in. So it might have different writing. It might be a different color.
Chuck, tell me, where do you get those bags?
So there's an interesting story that goes with that. We can get them now at the local convenience stores. So that makes things a whole lot easier. Once upon a time... Story time, kids! So I used to live up in Seoul when I worked up there. And my sister-in-law, who had been slightly Korean helpful...
we'll explain that in the next video.
We'll explain that one later. Had gotten me an apartment, which was, I will admit, a relatively good price, but it was a half hour further away from work than I wanted to be.
Yay!
But she signed me up for it before I ever even saw it.
You gotta love a commute, though. A good commute.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it gave me time to sleep on the subway. But the places I had been in, my Airbnb that I'd been staying in, the guest hostel that I was in for a little bit, you know, they had an area to put trash, or they had somebody who took the trash out for you. You just kind of went and put it downstairs. So I'm in this apartment, like in the middle of nowhere. I was up near the end of the Eungum Loop, if anybody knows where that is. It's out at the end of the number 6 line. And I was far enough away from the center of Seoul that there was not a lot of foreigners in that area, so there was not a lot of instructions in English. And I still, to this day, speak little to no Korean. I have tried. I am just not good at it.
I might be better at it.
She's probably better at it.
I got an A.
So anyway, so I'm sitting here, been in this apartment for a week and a half, 2 weeks, somewhere in that range. Stuff's starting to build up. So I call my sister-in-law. I'm like, where do I put the trash? I don't know where it goes. And basically she tells me I've got to go get one of these bags so that I'm not like illegally dumping trash. And then I just take it out and dump it on the side of the street. So near where we're at, they have little collection centers, like I said, with little cans or little things with the nets, and you go put it out there. This part of Seoul, they didn't have that. You just take it out and you set it on the curb at the side of the street, and they like come through every morning and pick up the trash, which is why some of the sidewalks in Seoul are sticky. But so I got this explanation. So trying to keep it somewhat similar to the States, you've got areas that are like states, and they're called does. So you got Gyeonggi-do. I don't know the names of any of the rest of them. We live in Gyeonggi-do. And then you have actual cities. So they end in C. So Pyeongtaek, C.
She.
All right, so I mispronounce stuff all the time.
It's okay.
Yeah, Osan, C. Pyeongtaek, C. Seoul, C. You know, once you get inside the city, you get like neighborhoods or boroughs or like suburbs of the city, I guess. And those are called dongs. So you get Xinjiang dong, Songtong dong, that sort of thing. And then, because my brain works in English, but I'm translating Korean names on the fly with these pronunciations, I realized that my ex and her sister just told me I have to go to the dong office and buy a bag. And it took me forever to explain to them why I fell over laughing.
I mean, I feel like it was very important for you to go to the dong office.
Yeah. But, so, yeah.
This is why we clean our dog's feet after they go outside.
Yes, and why you don't wear shoes when you come in. You kick them off
this
the
is
door.
a very good reason why to take your shoes off, because I don't want tracking that in here. All right, so Korean planning. Chuck, tell us how Koreans like to plan for things. Share with us the planning of Koreans.
Yes. So, Remember that statement that Korea is kind of the land of good enough? It's also the land of right now. So Koreans...
Bali, bali.
And it don't get me wrong, it can wind up being very amusing, but it can also be very irritating. They will decide, hey, let's go do this.
At the last second, with no planning or forethought. For type A people, it is...
So I've gotten more used to it over the years because I was married to a Korean and I used to live with her and her sister and their parents.
And super freaking laid back. And I am the person, when I plan, do I not plan it? I plan almost as many details of it as I can because I like to be prepared in advance. I can go on the fly, but if we're planning like a trip to somewhere, I want like, not necessarily an itinerary, but an idea. We're going to go do this and these are the things we've planned out. Yeah. We're prepared.
You can decide to go get dinner on a whim. Hey, let's go eat here.
Yeah.
Or you can decide, let's go watch a movie. You know, that's a thing you do on the fly. You don't decide, hey, let's drive 3 hours across the country and hope this place that just occurred to me is open when we get there.
Or do you?
We've done I've been through that one. Oh, by the way, let's drive to Seoul and go to this one place without checking to see if it's open. I've been in that. Driving into Seoul is a terrible option. I have never been in a car going into or leaving Seoul that took less than 2.5 hours to get out of the Seoul metro area.
I would so much rather take a train. Hell, I think I would take a bus. I don't even like the bus system that much, but I would get on a bus way before I would be willing to sit in a car because wow, it's such a, like, stop and go and stop and go. Oh my God.
If that was just it, that might not be so terrible. It's bad, but it might not be so terrible. But you'll get places and they'll be like, oh, this place that we just drove 3 hours to get to is closed today.
Huh.
Okay, let's go do something else. What? I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there. We did a whole vacation like that.
Yeah.
When we went to, this wasn't one that you were with.
Yeah, but we've done one of those, haven't we?
We went to Jeju, and it was, you know, me and the ex and her sister and their parents. And the only thing I knew was we were going to Jeju. I didn't know when we were supposed to be on the plane. I didn't know where we were going when we got there. I didn't know anything. They were just like, let's go do this. Let's go do that. Let's go do something else. And I'm just wandering along like, where are we going? Now,
when you're going with them somewhere, they will wander off in the oddest directions for no reason and not even tell you they're wandering off from you.
Yeah, you'll be walking through the mall or something. You'll turn around and you'll be all alone. They'll just have ghosted off somewhere.
Yeah, that's always fun too. But Korean planning, or lack thereof.
I've had a whole lot more exposure to it. It bothers me a lot less than it does her.
I am too type A for that. I am a control freak. I am a huge control freak. And I acknowledge that about myself. I like to be in control of the things that I can control. So if you put me in a situation where I have no control and no plan and nothing else, I will go stir crazy and I may want to kill you.
All right. So last thing on our list for today. So this is number what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Seventh thing on our list today. Lucky number 7. Don't take this the wrong way, but non-acclimated foreigners.
Floriners?
Floriners. I'm inventing words.
Floriners.
They're probably from Florida.
Oh, Lord. Love you, Florida.
But you'll get people who come here. They might be on vacation. They might be on a business trip for a couple weeks.
Or when they just first get here.
They might be here for a while, but they might have just gotten here. And it's one of two things. Either they are just going around thinking, well, we do it this way in America. Not thinking that you're not in America.
There's so many times I've heard that, but in America, from other foreigners, or but in my country, or but this, or why don't they speak my language? Because you're in Korea.
But then again, like I said, you get some of these other people, they're either over here short time, you know, vacation or whatever, or they just got here and they're
everything's better in their country.
Everything's better where I come from. They should do it my way. And that's when you get the guys who don't separate their trash. They just throw it out there. you know, whatever. Or
the
they
ones
don't,
who
they don't
assume
even,
that Ajima will pick up their poop from their dog so they don't have to.
Yeah, they don't clean up behind their dogs because they're like, well, it's not my country. Yeah.
We've
Sometimes the other
that.
foreigners make me want to punch them in the face. It's like, you're making all of us look bad. If you're going to be somewhere for a long period of time, don't piss off your neighbors.
If you're gonna be visiting in someone else's country, respect them enough to be respectful in their country.
When in Rome, do as the Romans do.
Nay.
It's not a new concept, people. Anyway, so that's our video for today.
Oh wait, there's doggies.
There's doggies. There's doggies.
And they must say hellos.
Hello, Sux. Come here.
Here is the maymays.
And here's the Sookie Swoosh.
Eat the maymays. Uh-oh. Who's gonna get it?
Oh no, the Mini Moosh.
Okay.
Come here, Mini Moosh.
Maymay's like, I'm not moving.
Come here, Mini Moosh.
Maymay, there's no food and I cleaned the counter.
Hey, yo, Mini Moosh.
It's a Mini Moose.
Say hello.
Say hellos. Mini Moose. Say hellos. All right. All right. Say, Maymay, say.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.
So we'll see y'all next time.